Hello everyone, my name is Caitlin and welcome back to the Clay to Success Showcasing McGill Services. Today we have with us Amanda from the Housing Office. Thank you so much for joining us today, Amanda.
Thank you for having me.
So why don't we start with as usual, by telling us a little bit about housing and what it is that you do.
So I work in student housing in the admissions and customer service office. So we take care of any of the new incoming undergraduate and graduate students that are applying to residences. We also answer any of your questions or concerns that you might have on either social media or by email. And we're here to talk to you about how we're going to be open for both the fall 2020 and winter 2021 academic terms.
Awesome. So I know students have a lot of questions about housing in particular. So I know one of the big questions is for international students, what is McGill offering for international students who are requesting housing in light of the Government of Canada's current regulations about self-isolation and quarantine?
So as you mentioned, the Government of Canada is basically saying that any students that are coming from outside of Canada are going to be required to quarantine for a minimum of 2 weeks before physically interacting with any of the students and staff in residences. So we in student housing are offering students who will need to quarantine to arrive as early as August 1st, either in one of our residence locations or with one of our off-campus partners. And students that are in quarantine are going to be required to pay a small nightly fee, but this will provide them with their own private room, private washroom, and we are also going to provide them with any necessities that they might need, such as toiletries, linens, and food.
Okay, so then what extra steps is McGill taking to ensure the safety and security of both students and staff in residences and to try and limit the spread and possible contraction of COVID-19?
So the safety of our students and our staff is really our foremost guiding principle in planning for the fall semester. In order to ensure that we adhere both to government and public health regulations and to support social distancing, our first thing is that we're examining the various options for reducing occupancy in our residences. And since the start of the pandemic, our residence staff have been working diligently to ensure that spaces are cleaned and sanitized to the highest possible standards. We're also employing extra staff to ensure on-site extra support and security for students. And we're revising our residence community guidelines to align closely with public health regulations.
And then lastly, I know students will have questions about food. So will food services be offered on campus this semester, and will students still have access to their mandatory meal plans?
Yes, absolutely. So students who are in our first year undergraduate buildings, with the exception of Solon Hall, will still be assigned a mandatory residential meal plan. And while certain on-campus food service locations are going to be closed, we in student housing are still committed to ensuring that students in residences will have access to healthy and delicious food. We're also working to ensure that food for certain dietary restrictions, such as vegan or vegetarian, any religious-based dietary needs, and allergens and intolerances are still taken into consideration.
Well, thank you so much for all of that information. We'll be sure to link some additional resources in the description box below for anyone who still has more questions, or if people want to stay up to date as the situation evolves. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. All right, well, bye everyone.